just somebody longing for someone to hold.
So I keep getting asked questions about the size of the benches, amongst other things. So I'm really sorry to those who have been asking, but I haven't got around to it until today. So here we are. I'm going to just take you quickly around how I've measured it. We'll then have a look inside, and hopefully that should answer any questions you've got. So I know for me, when I was setting it up, it was wondering how long, how high, and all those sorts of things. And obviously, if you know how big this one is and you can visualise it, you can then work out if you want it slightly bigger, slightly smaller, and we'll address some of those little issues that you might have had, or you might think about yourself. So we'll give it our best. So when I talk about height, that is going to be from the floor to the top of the box here. So that is any of the heights. Length is going to be the longest part, which is this part here, all the way down there. So this length is 107 centimetres. Both of them are exactly the same, 107 centimetres. For me, and I'll show you in a minute, that leaves enough room behind this seat if you are keeping that seat, and it leaves enough gap in between the end of the box and when you shut the boot there's still a big gap in between, so there's plenty of clearance, because you can see I've got different bits and pieces on the end, and I found that quite useful. So 107 is the length of both, 29 centimetres is the height, because I've thought about people sitting down. I'm not the tallest in the world, but sat down I'm an average height. That leaves me enough room, and anybody else who's a bit taller, to be able to sit without actually bumping their head. So I went for 29 centimetres in height. And the width of each of these, and I'll show you more detail in a minute, but they are cut out a little bit for this shaped bit here, but they are both 46 centimetres deep. So the way they go in there. So that is the depth of each of those. Inside, which I'll show you again in a minute, up to where the opening ends, because this bit overlaps, is 31 centimetres, and I'll show you that in a minute. So that's kind of how I've done that. I'll record it all on the links down the bottom in the description so that you can see how I've done all of that. So let's take a look.
Longing for someone to hold me. It could be anybody but you.
So if we start on the outside part, you can see how I've left enough gap in there so that when the boot shuts, comes up to about here, I've still got some space. This, in case you're wondering, is a snap up shelf. That literally is a piece of aluminium I'd cut on eBay. Just found a company that did checker plate aluminium, gave them the sizes and had that cut, and that is big enough for a stove to go onto. So if I'm cooking outside, I can just chuck the stove on there and cook with it. And underneath it's just those hinges where when you lift them up they click into place, and then you just press these down and you can fold it back up and it stays in there quite nicely. On this side, the reason I wanted a gap was I have the inverter and a spade and an axe and some other bits and pieces, but I also wanted access to this control panel where I've got all the isolation switch for the leisure batteries and all the switches for the lights and stuff. So, having a look at these, let's go in and have a look. So with this one, this is Velcro netting. Again, it's off Amazon. They're on eBay, there's loads of them about. These literally just Velcro straight on, and then you can store bits and pieces in the front. I don't want to waste any space, so that's how I store the stuff in there. So if we open this, you can see inside I've kept the air vent there, so I cut a hole in the back so that the air could still go in, and I redirected the vent, which would have gone under the floor, now goes over the floor and out the back, so I can still use the heat and the aircon out the back. So that's how I've done this in here. Look. So it's 31 centimetres under this lip from the edge here to the edge of that one in there. But over the top, across, is 46 deep. And then the bit on the end, I've had to fashion and shape to fit the contour of the vehicle. So that's how I've done that. Again, if we have a look at the other side, exactly the same setup. Lift that up. We have the wooden framing. I've had to cut over where the suspension struts come through because I don't want to damage any of that. And they've still got access to it should I need any work done on it. Spare number plate that. And then in there is where, well, there's an air compressor there for the tyres, but underneath is the leisure batteries, and under here there's another leisure battery. I've got two 75s, which makes me 150, which is absolutely fine for lights and stuff that I need. And I've just got that to cover it up, and I've got little air struts each side to hold that up, and then when it's dark there's a light there which when you lift the lid comes on, so it illuminates what's inside. I've also got a safe in this one which is solid with a key lock, so I can put any valuables locked away in there as well. And literally that is screwed to the floor with these, yeah, nothing more than that. It's pretty simple to be fair, pretty straightforward. Again, from here to here, it's 31 centimetres. And all I did was put the lip of wood around for the lid to sit in. And that was pretty much it. Again, I've got the nets on. This is a Lagoon leg mount. It's a copy actually, it's not actually a Lagoon. It is a copy, again from Amazon. 160 quid or something like that. That's screwed on there. Obviously that leg comes off and it goes inside there when I'm not using it. I normally just leave it on there, to be honest. And that's how that box works. And then the other question I keep getting asked as well is about the table. So I stow the table in the boot. So if I get out, coming back in the vehicle with the boot shut, first I'll show you the gap. So that's why I left the gap, so that you had a bit to play with in there and it didn't all squeeze up. And again on this side you've got plenty of room so it doesn't all squeeze up. The connectors I use for the table was literally, comes in a pack. You get two of the corner mounts, one for each side, and then two of the little clips, one for each side, and they do a range of colours, all sorts of colours. I just went for grey because there's some grey in it. This table was, I think it was from eBay, and it's about 45 quid delivered. All made. There's loads of companies that do them. It's this special ply that they use for the tables, which is veneered and edged in the edging stuff. They do it all for you and just send it, it's brilliant. And then the Lagoon table leg top goes on the top there. You just screw the mount on there wherever you want, so wherever you want the table positioned. And that goes straight in. That then lifts out and goes in between the two benches. All I did was I got a piece of wood. It was a shaped piece of wood. It's curved. Cut it to the length. Screwed it on. And then that table just goes in the middle and makes a giant bed. So this all becomes a bed, and then you can fold the chairs down nice and flat, and that becomes a double bed. Obviously there's a little bit of a gap here, but I'm not worried about that. There's only my feet that are down there. So if there's two of us sleeping in it, it doesn't actually matter. So that's pretty much how that works. hope that answers your questions in relation to the rear benches. I've left a little bit of space there because I have my electric switchover which changes all the stereo TV and everything from, if you put it on number 1, comes from the front battery. If you put it on number 2, comes from the rear leisure batteries, depending on where you are and what you're doing, because you don't want to flatten the normal battery. And these, I left enough space so I could just pop these on the end. All they are is they're $9.99 on Amazon. There's some little cases with Velcro closing, so I can just chuck stuff on the end. I mean, you could make the boxes come all the way to the end if you wanted to. You could probably get up to about 120 centimetres back to front if you wanted to, but I wanted to give myself a little bit of space. There's the other one. And that one's got the stove in it, just to keep it out of the way and stored. Yeah, and the chairs still all fold down, spin round, and they don't get in the way, so it's perfect for me. And there's my carbon monoxide detector, smoke detector as well, built in. Yeah. Here, just because it's there and I'll show you, is just a little table. So I put that table on here, obviously without the cushions here. So that if I'm sat in there and there's nobody else about, and I've got the room to do it, it's got tiny little legs and just raises everything up to this height. I can put the cooker on it if I'm indoors and it's raining. I can do whatever I want, prepare food. So it gives me that versatility of being a day camper, but also if I'm in here at night I can literally just put that table out and use that as a worktop. So it works both ways, to be fair. So yeah, that's good, that. This just literally comes off. I've velcroed that on, so I've got Velcro one side and then stapled on that side and glued on that side so that doesn't slip about. And this is, I mean, these covers, they were straight from, again, I think it was eBay. They're actually exterior bench covers, and I just happened to put in the measurements 106 or 107 by 45 or whatever it was, and hey presto, these seat pads came straight up, and they were like £18 each, I think, which is the only reason why I've got them. You can wipe clean, you can do what you like with them, so they're pretty good for what I need them for, with the kids, wet sand and all that sort of stuff. I didn't want to go and spend, because you can spend up to £300 or £400 on a lot thicker one with a nice backing which goes into the middle. I've got a third one of these which actually goes in, so if I go away I just take that one with us. You could spend a lot of money if you wanted to on getting real nice padded ones with a half sized one at the back each side, which will then fill in the middle space. I will do that later on, but I can't justify the cost at the moment. But it'll be a nice to have, to be fair. So that's how I stow it all away, so I can pretty much still use the van with 4 seats comfortably. I mean, you could leave the middle seat in if you wanted to have a 5-seater, which would make the bed more comfortable, but I chose not to have it. And you can convert that then into beds, or like we do quite a lot, is we'll pull up, reverse up to the sea, open the boot, and we can look out onto the sea and sit here with the table out if necessary to have dinner. Perfect, it's a perfect setup. Well, I hope that has helped those people that wanted the measurements and wanted to know how it was all set up. I know I've looked and there's a lot of you doing it, and I was literally asked yesterday again for the measurements, so I hope that helps you out. If you want any other bits and pieces, thoughts, measurements, how I've done something, give me a shout. I'll do the best I can. I promise I won't wait as long as last time. So yeah, I hope that was helpful, and good luck with your conversion should you do.